I'm an introvert, so this is very hard for me. You got to go meet people. You can't learn to drive in a parked car. You have to move, and it's hard, but you have to move in some way.
Without Fear of Her Future podcast is for women who are passionately pursuing financial freedom, using multiple streams of income and real estate to accomplish their goals. We are here to empower you to be brave, dream big, and design a life that you love that inspires others to do the same. I'm your co-host, Andrea Engstrom, a real estate investor and business coach and co-founder of the Partnership for Realtors. And I'm here with my co-host, Tresa Todd, founder of the Women's Real Estate Investors Network and author of the best-selling book, Without Fear of Her Future. Over the past 2 years, Tresa has had nearly 200,000 join her masterclass where she teaches women how to become successful real estate investors. Hey, Tresa.
Hey, Andrea. Well, we have a couple of rock stars with us today. It's going to be fun.
Yes.
Fun. Well, this mother and daughter team made a huge splash when they decided to become real estate investors, earning over $200,000 in profits from wholesale deals in their very first year.
Awesome.
However, it hasn't always been smooth sailing. As we know, it never is in any business, right?
Right.
Well, in this week's episode, listen to how this incredible duo navigated a seller who promised their contract to not only them, but another investor as well. So Taylor and Diana, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, girls.
Excited to have both of you on today. So will you just kind of tell us where you're from, where you are, where you primarily invest, and can't wait to dive in today.
Yeah, we're both from Dallas, and we both primarily invest in Dallas. And I recently lived right next door to her in Terrell, Texas, which is about 30 miles east of Dallas. She still lives there, and I have moved to South Florida.
That's a big move.
Yeah. Wow. So are y'all going to do a little bit in Florida and a little bit in Texas? Is that the plan?
One step at a time.
I get it. Well, tell us about what your life and career looked like before you started investing in real estate.
You want to go first?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mom.
Let's start with Taylor, because Taylor, you got started in real estate first, and then you brought Mom along very soon after. So tell us about what your life looked like before investing, and then we want to hear from your mama.
Yes.
Well, from a very young age, I wanted to be an orthodontist. So I went to school and got a degree to do so.
Awesome.
Didn't end up getting into dental school. So I thought, I guess I'll just be a hygienist. So I did. I was a dental hygienist for about 3 years. And I honestly just kind of started to lose passion and get a little bored. It's very redundant. And I've always had a passion for math. So at that point, I thought, hey, let me get a teaching certificate and I'll go teach math. So I did that too. I taught high school algebra for probably another 3 years. And during that time, I had started watching a lot of HGTV. I had a baby during that time, and had really wondered how in the world do these people do this. And then fast forward a few years after the babies were born, then I came across the Masterclass, and here we are now. I'm not a teacher anymore. I don't clean teeth anymore. I'm a full-time real estate investor.
Awesome.
Wow.
Diana, how about you? What were you doing before you started real estate, and what are you doing now?
I have been in healthcare IT for 30 years and have always had a passion in building. Actually, I like any kind of building structures. And my ex-husband and I built several spec houses, and I just where my heart's always lied. Taylor and I, in between some of her things there, we had entertained building a spec house ourselves, and we've just both had a huge interest in real estate always. When she told me about this class, I'm like, oh my gosh, how awesome. And so I joined, I don't know, maybe 3 months after you did, Taylor. And so it was a fast course for me because she was already ahead and wanted me to partner with her for marketing funds. And that's really how it started.
Awesome. And are you still in IT? It's still rocking and rolling in that career?
I am. I'm able to retire at 55. And so,
Woo!
yeah, I mean, that is eligibility. So I'm hanging till then.
Yeah.
And I do as much as I can on the side. And it's still where my heart lies. There's
Awesome.
no doubt about that.
Awesome. And so I love this because, sometimes people join, if you're like me, I was like, how quick can I quit my day job? But then there's other people that join and they love what they do and they're passionate about their career and they're really happy with their life. And it can, real estate investing can be a way that just enhances your opportunities for retirement in the future. And so I actually love that you're like loving what you're doing because that's what it's all about, right?
Yes. Well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is. It's about designing a life that we love.
Yeah.
And if we love what we do and we're just going to make some extra money on the side, then that's amazing. Amazing. And I especially love to see families doing business together, mothers and daughters, and just all that you can accomplish together. It just makes it so much more fun and exciting. So I want to hear more. Tell us about your first few deals as a team.
All right. Well, our very first deal was in, she said she joined in September, and I believe that was the month of our first deal. We got a property under contract in Plano. And I think out of all of our deals, that was the smoothest one, thankfully, because it was the first. Prior to that, we had lost a couple of deals. We actually had a seller on our very first contract. The seller just did not show up to closing. So when our first closed deal came around, it was pretty smooth, and we were grateful for that. Then we had another one come along. It was in Kaufman, Texas, which is where we're from. It also happens to be where Erica is from. So at that property, I got to partner with her, and that was great to meet her in our hometowns. And we sold that one for a $40,000 wholesale fee.
Wow.
I don't think I mentioned it, but the very first one was $25,000. So
that's awesome.
We were ecstatic, and backtrack a minute. We were ecstatic because we desperately wanted our first deal to cover our mentorships, and it covered both of them easy peasy. So we were really grateful for that. And then our first few deals we just knocked them out of the park. Our third deal was the biggest one. It was a property in Wiley, and we wholesaled that for $70,000.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
It is amazing. It is amazing.
That's amazing.
I know. And I always love to talk a little bit to our listeners as we have these conversations, because so you made $25,000, $40,000, and $70,000. These are your first three deals right out. I mean, these are first three deals ever. Yes. And when you wholesale, you don't even purchase properties. You get a property under contract, and then you just sell or assign the contract to someone else. I mean, we close these deals so quickly. There's no flipping. It's just one of the easiest things in the world. One of the easiest ways to make a whole lot of money so quick. And so y'all just hit three. I mean, $70,000 is a huge assignment fee.
Yeah.
So I love it. So, and you're finding them in East Texas and small towns in East Texas. Well, Plano may not be, but Kaufman, Terrell, Plano, all of those are just, so how are you finding these deals?
Well, this was just before they had, and by they, I guess the government had opened up to allow foreclosures. And so we had PropStream, but all the data on PropStream really wasn't up to date, because who knew if you were actually getting foreclosed on or not.
Right.
So what my mom actually, she suggested was, hey, let's just go to the county websites and actually pull the foreclosure notices. Well, since that had just been lifted, there were minimal. I think our first month of September, we did like 3 counties, and I want to tell you there was about 30 total foreclosure notices. So when we started out, it wasn't a huge task for us to go collect that data on our own and then market to it. And that's what we did. That's how we found all of our deals. I want to say up until like maybe for full 9 months, we went and we would, kind of just tag team that. We would check the foreclosure county websites every day. We had a Google Doc that we used collectively to put in that information and keep track of it. And that's how we did it.
That's awesome. So Taylor, how did you, what made you decide to introduce your mom to the world of investing? Because you got started and you were learning all these things, but it sounds like she was a great asset. But like, what made you know that that was going to be a good fit and you wanted your mom to come along?
She's, like she was mentioning, she's always been interested in building and learning, and she wanted rentals. She's just always had an interest. And for me, I was very, very skeptical at first, incredibly so. So when I think I waited a little bit to tell her that I had joined, because I was sitting there thinking, gosh, I wonder if I just lost that amount of money, but it wasn't very long, maybe a month. And I was like, oh, Mom, you got to get in and do this. You've got to learn this information, because she and I would discuss different, hypothetical situations, but had no idea how to even put that into action. So once I started learning, I knew right off the bat she'd be ready to go with me.
Awesome. And it looks like we lost her from the stream today. I know she was having internet challenges, but we're just going to keep rocking and include her when we go to publish this.
Yeah.
So talk to us about what challenges that you've faced, because you all had a unique challenge that not everybody deals with in their first few deals as investors. So talk to us about the challenges that you faced with getting your wholesale deals going.
Yes. The first one was pretty easy to deal with, and so was the second $40,000 one. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
The $70,000 one, it was a nightmare.
Oh, no.
It really was. And to be honest with you, when I think about how that house closed, God closed that house. He really did. The initial problem with that property was that the seller had signed 2 contracts.
Wow.
Yes, I wasn't even aware that would happen or could happen. Thankfully, my contract was signed first. And a few weeks later, I was struggling to get in touch with her, and I needed this and I couldn't get her. And I want to say maybe 2 weeks later, I got the random phone call from, he was a realtor, and he wanted to know what business I had with this property. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I have a contract on that property. That's my house. Like I'm trying to purchase the house. And he said, no, I have a contract on that property. And I was like, maybe you're the end buyer. I had partnered with a wholesale company in Dallas to work on the dispositions of this house. So I thought, okay, maybe this is the end buyer that's getting in contact with me, which would explain why he thinks he has a contract, and so do I. Well, he obviously had a little bit more experience than I do, and he was connecting the dots much faster than I was. And he said, no, I'm not the end buyer. Here's what's happened. And he told me that he actually had a contract, and so did I. So that was huge.
Yeah. Well, so what did you do? How do you resolve that issue?
Well, God has blessed me in so many ways. And one, of course, starting was with Tresa and the mentorship. And then her son, Justin, had given me a contact of the wholesale company that I was just mentioning in Dallas. That man has been a complete godsend to us. And he is the one ultimately responsible for saving this deal. He had, again, much more experience than I did and had much more contacts. He was very close with an attorney. And since we had the first contract, he knew how to handle it, who to call, who would make it happen. And in the background, the realtor was trying to get that deal closed faster than we could. The seller started asking me for different pieces of the puzzle that I guess she hadn't taken liberty of keeping when I sent it the first time. And so I didn't feel the need to send it again, thankfully. So they were unable to close it. And in the meantime, the attorney started putting pressure on the other title company for having open title. And so that is what finally got them to back off, is we had put some legal pressure on them to knock it off, and we saved it.
Awesome. Okay. So what advice would you give women that are looking to wholesale to help them avoid, like, how do we avoid a situation like that? Is it avoidable?
You know, if it is, I wouldn't have known how. I really wouldn't have. So I wouldn't, that was just a strange, I hope I never have to deal with that again, but I don't know how I could have prevented that one.
Yeah, it's not avoidable. A seller can get a house, they can sign as many contracts as they want to. But Taylor, you're exactly right. The only one that really matters is the first one. And because a title company, when they go on the second, third, or fifth, I was the seventh person that signed a contract with a seller one time.
Wow.
He was just signing them with any person. And somehow or another, he thought that whoever was going to end up giving him the most money, that's who he was going to go with. Well, it doesn't work that way. But yeah, the title company, when they open, they should see that it's already under contract, and the first contract is the one that matters. But like you said, I mean, this person was going to try to go ahead and press it on through. And had you not known you didn't know what legal stance you had, but at least you had somebody that was helping you to back you up and fight for that, because as it should have been, you won that, and you should have. So knowing, having the knowledge and literally just saying that and calling that title company and saying, hey, I got this under contract on such and such date. You need to close title. That's really how it should have been handled. But good job for pushing through. Great job.
Yes.
Yes.
I also want to congratulate you on that, Taylor, because I think sometimes as new investors, we will feel intimidated when there's a situation like that we don't know, or if something doesn't seem right, we just want to run away. And so I just want to say kudos to you and your mom for leaning in, for calling your resources and getting the right people around you. Because I think a lot of people in that situation would have just said, oh, and backed out of the deal. Like, oh, I don't know how to navigate this. So, but then $70,000 later, like, it's worth the trouble to talk to the right people and to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's an uncomfortable situation.
It was very uncomfortable, and my mom did a lot of encouraging, and thankfully we had the people on our side to push it on through. But for me, I was like, if this is legal, I'm out. Like, it is not worth it. And my mom was like, not, we're not stopping yet. No, but not until it's done. So we just kept trying, and every day we would get closer. And that was actually, if you can believe it, that was not the only challenge I had with that property, but every day we got closer, and we finally made it to closing day.
Awesome.
Yep.
So just for perspective, start to finish, what was the time frame that for you to get that property under contract to actually getting it closed?
That was a foreclosure. So we had, from the time I got it under contract we closed it the day before the auction. So we had about 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so it's like when you're dealing with hard things like this, like sometimes it can feel like it's going to take months and months of turmoil and challenges, but it's really like, buckle up, because you got 3 hard weeks and then it's over. And then you get a check, and like, you can do hard things and hang on through that time. So you guys did so good.
Yeah. And the other thing that is awesome about it is what you learn. When you have an easy deal, hey, we all love easy deals, but when we have some of those more complicated deals, that's when we learn more about the laws, more about what we're capable of, more about, who to contact, what resources. So there's so much value in some of those hard deals.
That's very true. There was a lot learned on that deal.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, Taylor, tell us, what is the criteria that you look for when you're getting a new project? And have you only done wholesale deals, or have you done other things?
We have only done wholesale deals. Recently, we still have this project going. We did a sub too, but we're wholesaling it. So we haven't kept any or done any flips or anything like that.
Okay. And so explain to our listeners, what is wholesaling? So wholesaling and flipping, what is wholesaling?
Yeah. So I found a property in Connecticut, actually, which is way outside of our zone. But it was a great house, and the seller just needed to move, and he needed to take care of that quickly. And the house was market ready, but he just didn't want any part of it. So I initially did try to wholesale it, but the profit just wasn't there compared to the wholesale, which, to answer your question, was we decided to, we took the property sub 2. And so now my mom provided the funding on that. And so technically she owns the property now. And we turned around and put it on the market. So it's sitting on the market right now.
Okay, so you closed on it by, and you said a sub 2, so that means subject to the existing mortgage.
That's right.
And so did you have to bring a down payment to do that?
We did. It was a little more steep than typically for sub 2s, I think, but it's going to be worth it with the profit margin. So I think it'll be fine, and we're excited about it.
So when you say a down payment, what you actually had to do was reinstate the loan, correct? Is that?
No, this one wasn't a foreclosure. So
Okay.
in this case, what we ended up paying the down payment was what the seller would have profited with my original offer.
Okay.
And just to give him what he needed, which was his cash.
Okay.
And then we took the property.
Took the note over. So, okay. So I feel like I just have to talk about this a minute. Okay.
Yes,
so
please.
subject to existing loan means that she literally just took over the payments on his existing loan. So she did put cash in his pocket, which had to come out of her pocket. Or her mom. So she put cash in his pocket. At that point, he was willing just to walk away. And so the house is deeded over to her mom in this situation. So now her mom is the owner of that property, and she just takes over those current payments. And she can do anything she wants to with that house. She could live in that house if she wanted to. She can sell it. She could rent it out. She could use it as a short-term rental. In their case, they did 2 creative things. First of all, they got it under contract subject to the existing loan, which is amazing. We want to do as many of those as we can. And then the second thing is the hoteling, which is typically means that you just purchase it at a deep discount, and then you can turn around and sell it. Just the way it is, you just sell it on the market for the most amount of money. Or sometimes you can call a hotel when you may go in and do a little bit to it. You clean it up. Maybe you get everything out of it. Maybe you put a coat of paint on it. Maybe you don't, but it's not a true flip. So you don't put a lot of money into it, and you just turn around and sell it. And so this is great. I love it. I love that you're doing a lot of hard things, Taylor, a lot of things that so many investors that have been investors for 10 years never do, a sub 2 and all of those. So good. Congrats to both of y'all. Love it.
Thank you.
Very cool. And so you also recently, so you moved to Florida, your mom's in Texas, this project's in Connecticut. So how did you even find that deal?
I started, when we moved here, we had a lot of family stuff going on. So keeping up with the foreclosures in the manner that we were doing so was a lot between the move and all the family stuff. So I started marketing on my own. I was marketing on Facebook ads, strictly in Texas. But I happened to get a guy from Oklahoma. He had just kind of snuck into my Texas marketing, and he happened to currently be living in Connecticut, trying to get back to Oklahoma. So that was, again, just a one-off random thing that just happened to work out in our favor.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Wow. Well, I just want to throw in here that when you do marketing, it works. There are people out there with problems, and we can solve those problems when we have the specialized knowledge, which is what you receive. That's why you were able to press through some of these hard deals and get a property subject to the existing loan. So I absolutely love that. And you did 2 things that I really want. First of all, you did the marketing. In Texas, when something wasn't working one way, you didn't have the time and the energy, you did something else. So you went to Facebook ads. But even what you did the first time, so many people, when there's trouble, they give up. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you how many times I heard, well, there's no, I don't know when they're going into foreclosure because of all, the laws. But you didn't just give up and say, well, when things change, I'll jump in. You just found another way around it. So you went straight to the county and got the list and found exactly who was having auctions, and you marketed straight to that. And I love that. So many people do not do that. And it's just proof that when you do the things, it works. I mean, we have we teach a method. And the method works if you're willing to do it and not willing to give up just because, well, this isn't working or this isn't easy. I got to put a little more time, a little more energy. And it has definitely paid off for you, girl.
It has. Thank you so much. You've been a huge part of that.
Well, I love it. I have to ask, what has been the most helpful thing to you and your mom as investors since joining the Women's Real Estate Investors Network?
Oh, Tresa, you might make me cry. I wish she was on here for this because she and I both agree wholeheartedly that it was you. Your heart and your reliance on God and sharing that with us has been huge. And we agree that if we had got nothing out of our real estate, it would all been worth it for both of us just to hear and know you and come to Christ again through you.
Oh, wow. That is precious. That is absolutely precious. And I thank you for saying that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And it is my heart. I mean, I do believe with all my heart, I have two purposes. And one is to teach women to find financial freedom through real estate investing, but it is to draw women back to God. And I just believe that we can make such an impact all over this nation as we become strong in the Lord and as we create financial freedom and we're able to make impact. And that's exactly what you and your mom are doing. And that just makes me so happy and so proud.
We're so grateful for you.
Awesome. Well, Taylor, I'm so grateful for you and your mom being with us on the show today.
Yes.
And we like to ask our guests for 3 takeaways. So what are 3 things that you would advise an investor or entrepreneur who is looking to be brave or grow or is perhaps feeling stuck where they are?
I think one thing that's really important to know and really take to heart is you can't learn to drive in a parked car.
Ooh.
So you have to move, and it's hard, but you have to move in some way, and that takes a lot of bravery. So that's 100% where Tresa comes in with her dream big and be brave. It takes a lot of bravery to do that. Another thing I would say is I'm an introvert, so this is very hard for me. You got to go meet people. It doesn't really matter what you're doing or why you're meeting them. You may not even need their assistance or need them at all ever, but you may a year from now, or they might be able to use you in some way. So I think that's really important as well for meeting people, and especially if you're like me. I don't know if I have a third one. I think those are my 2 main things that I have for you.
Well, that's all right. I mean, we got so many good things from you today.
Yes.
Just leaning in when things get hard and not giving up. But I think also just like knowing that you can partner successfully with your mom and knowing that like she was going to be such an asset and bringing her in. I think that that's a story that inspires a lot of people who really want to do something with their family. And, that's part of Tresa's story is that her sons were like, Mom, come on. And you kind of said, Mom, come on.
Yeah.
And so I love when I hear stories like that, because it just means we can do better. We can be better together.
Yeah.
And we can go farther together. And you all have found really creative ways to find deals and to partner and to make more money because you're working together. So I just love it. I love it.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Well, Taylor and also your mom, Diana, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. And on behalf of the Women's Real Estate Investors Network, I'm Andrea Engstrom here with Tresa Todd, encouraging you to be brave and dream big.